This Ag Business Update brought to you by American Implement. Indebted to the past, committed to the future. In a moment, we'll review the Kansas wheat harvest with Aaron Harries from Kansas Wheat.
Would you like to see something done about high gas prices and low unemployment? Western Plains Energy in Campus, Kansas is doing something about it. They're a proud part of Growth Energy, America's ethanol supporters, and they employ 38 people and will be adding more following the expansion. Ethanol fuel not only reduces the cost of regular gasoline, it's good for the environment and keeps money right here in the United States while supporting local rural jobs. Western Plains Energy, doing something for the future.
Wolfter Construction and Irrigation has been around a long time, and a lot of folks have trusted them to design, build, and service all sizes of commercial and on-farm storage for grain and equipment. Wolfter is also known for their outstanding irrigation division, where they stock a complete selection of nozzles, regulators, drops, gear drives, electrical, and structure components. Looking for an electric motor? Wolfter has a large selection in single and three-phase. Next time, reach out to the pros who have decades of experience at taking care of business the right way. Wolfter Construction and Irrigation.
Joining us now is Aaron Harries, who is Vice President of Research and Operations for Kansas Wheat. Hi, Aaron.
Hi, Ken. Thanks for having me.
Aaron, we're going to talk about the 2024 Kansas wheat harvest that is just basically all done but the shout, and maybe it's a couple of pockets maybe. We started out early, and we kind of came and gone. But overall, if you and I had this conversation in 1st of April, we may have thought about a different story than the way this thing turned out.
Yeah, we wouldn't have been nearly as optimistic. And I think the overall theme for the 2024 wheat crop is better than expected. So USDA's number that came out last week bumped the total harvest all the way up to 307 million bushels. So that gets us to about 43 bushels per acre. And boy, that's a 53% increase over last year. And how many years can you say you do that? And so, we were closer to 200 million bushels a year ago. And we just had those timely rains that came on late in the spring, along with some favorable cool weather, and got some better than expected results in places. And so the harvest did start a little early and move pretty darn fast. I know the folks maybe in your part of the state in Northwest Kansas would disagree with that. It slowed down a little bit there, but glad to have this one in the bins.
I will tell you, Aaron, even though it was kind of start and stop, we did start about 10, 11 days early, but I never heard anybody complain about having to stop because of the rain showers, other than those just wanted to get it done. But Aaron, I know in talking with producers all over the state, not everybody had that bumper crop. In watching some of your reports that came across, it went from this is the best wheat crop we've ever had to another year of a challenge. And so I guess that is just the constant theme of a Kansas wheat farmer, though.
It sure is, and it's the variability that we talk about every year. And you're right, exactly. There were some folks that didn't have a great year, from Salina on west to Great Bend up to Hayes and Hutchinson area. A lot of those places, frankly, are still struggling and seeking out some rain. So we certainly feel for those folks. Even in those spots where yields were pretty dramatically lower, I know they wanted better things, but they were still better than last year, which I keep saying that, but it's hard not to get better than the 2023 crop. But we will have protein in pockets because of that drought stress situation. I know in the elevators around Salina, a lot of 13% protein wheat, and that just goes back to what you said, that variability. And what happens in Kansas is that wheat gets blended together, and when all is said and done, we're going to have about an average crop size-wise by bushels, and certainly an average crop, maybe a little bit better on quality.
Well, and that's one of the things. The quality was there. I heard from a lot of farmers that were very pleased with the straw strength they saw, when able to maybe get that as another part of that crop. The heads were filled and full. And the one thing, we did have many areas that had better than expected protein.
We did, yeah. It's something we'll have to study a little bit. The timing of the rains and the plant being under stress in the early part of the spring and getting that rain. So it did produce that protein, obviously, and still. But we do have good size kernels out there. The size of the kernels, which is something the millers obviously look at, and the domestic millers we talked to, it hasn't gotten into the export markets quite that much yet, but the domestic millers are very pleased with how the crop mills, and from what we've seen in early baking samples and things like that, it's performing very well. So yeah, there's a lot we still don't know about wheat, and this is going to be a year to look back and say, what exactly was that scenario where we were getting some yields, we were getting some protein that was better than expected.
Aaron Harries with Kansas Wheat is joining us this week as we're reviewing the 2024 Kansas wheat crop. We'll take a break, come back with more in just a moment.
When you've had a best friend for over 50 years, you develop a trust. And the Scott Co-op has been a trusted rural friend since 1957. A co-op keeps money in the area, doing business for and with their members. And that helps keep their hometown thriving with keeping money in the community. Scott Co-op is not just an elevator. It's the rural way of doing business. So, when you see an elevator, remember your friends at Scott Co-op. S&S Trailer Sales, with 2 locations in Ness City, Kansas, is where everybody goes to buy or rent trailers. They feature the all-new, all-aluminum Mauer grain trailer with all of the electric options, the easy-to-load detached trailers, and a huge stock of header trailers. At the west location, you'll find bumper poles, goosenecks, and oilfield specialty trailers, along with flat and utility beds for pickups. S&S Trailer Sales in Ness City and on the web, but remember, you do have to spell out the and.
And our guest is Aaron Harries with Kansas Wheat, as we're talking about the 2024 Kansas wheat crop. And now harvest is complete as we hang on. Now, why would that? No, I didn't have it silenced. That's a nothing call. So we'll start again. Hadn't happened for a while, but we'll start.
Yeah.
Take 2 in 3, 2, 1. And Aaron Harries from Kansas Wheat is joining us this week as we're reviewing this year's Kansas wheat harvest and the crop that has made it this far anyway. So, Aaron, let's maybe talk about some of the next steps as we've now got the crop in the bin. Some farmers are selling, some are looking for some opportunities. But as we get to that point, also talk about kind of how we got to where we are. Folks like the Kansas Wheat Commission and others invest with wheat breeders at K-State and others to come up with the varieties that, as you said earlier, maybe study some of those, have how we got to some of these successes.
Yeah, and then farmers, of course, fund that research through the wheat checkoff, and it does pay dividends. I hope people are seeing that on a year like this year. You've got to have some rain, but even if it's minimal rain, these new varieties are really proving that they're resilient, right? They hang in there. If they get a good start and an opportunity, they can go quite a ways without some rainfall and still do some good things. So it's just that pipeline of new wheat varieties coming out, and there are some new wheat varieties out there that are just home runs on a year like this year that exceeded expectations. And so tip of the hat to the geneticists and wheat breeders, and I can promise folks there are some really good things coming down the lines, because the science is moving just as fast as the harvest did this year, and the future is bright for new wheat genetics.
I do have to make just a quick mention. One of the variety that's going to be available, at least to certain areas, coming soon, and that is KS Bill Snyder. I think there was a little bit out there with some folks that were able to get started, and to see how that turned out, I'll be curious to find that out.
Yeah, it's exciting. Little project we started here from Kansas Wheat, a great way to honor Coach Snyder, who meant so much to Kansans, I think especially rural Kansans. So yeah, it's going to be a popular wheat. It's low on supply this year. So yeah, you're going to be people are going to have to wait a little bit. The drought last year affected the seed production, but next fall, folks will be talking about it.
Let's talk about that export market. We've got this wheat. We keep hearing there's wheat all over the world, but things are turning around. The world is wanting hard red wheat.
They are, and it's competitive now. I mean, we're to the point where we're not competitive with every country. It always depends upon what's going on with Russia, but the size of the crop we have, the fact that ending stocks are higher, and farmers locally don't like what the price has been doing, definitely, but it does make it more cost effective and affordable for the rest of the world. So we're going to see export numbers for wheat up substantially over last year, and that's a good thing for everybody. Keep that U.S. wheat going around the world.
Well, Aaron, we appreciate taking the time to give us the update on how the harvest was this year for Kansas wheat, also the prospects moving forward. So we appreciate it.
Thank you, Ken.
Aaron Harries, the Vice President of Research and Operations for Kansas Wheat, has joined us.
The cost of everything has gone up dramatically over the last 75 years. With one exception: keeping electricity affordable.
Wheatland Electric, delivering energy for life, your Touchstone Energy Cooperative.
KBUF, the Ag Leader, has agriculture information for you weekdays beginning at 6 with Agriculture Today. Then it is the KBUF Morning Show, as we have interviews with newsmakers as well as have market discussions and all important weather and other information to help you make good decisions on the farm and ranch. You can follow along on our social media or listen to KBUF or any Western Kansas broadcast station online, westernkansasnews.com. I'm Ken Rogers. Thanks for watching.